A purple wave of energy began to envelop the world below us at lightning speed. The atmosphere became deathly silent. The citizens froze in their places along with birds in the sky. It was as though being inside of a three-dimensional, surreal painting. It was slightly disturbing to witness such a standstill. To our surprise, only the angels were mobile and able to speak. The silence was broken by a booming voice, which I recognized to belong to Jupiter. "Angels of Death, report to the Divine Court at once!" "What in bloody hell is going on?" Peter exclaimed while both frightened and bewildered. "It appears that the gods have awoken and that Saturn had paused time," Victor said. "I hope they are not too angry," Wyatt said apprehensively. "The only thing we can do is face the music," I said with a sigh. We walked down the hallway and entered into the vast chamber. The Divine Court was brilliantly white with clear quartz crystals which sparkled from a chandelier above us. The thrones were elevated upon pedestals at a great height. Each throne was designed to fit an individual god's station and what they represented. The treacherous angels were bound to the pedestals by shackles and chains. Raziel and Moriel, laid upon Jupiter's throne, slowly regenerating after the mutilations they had suffered. I could not see the gods' images clearly due to a brilliant glow which emanated from their essence. However, an outline was the only possible image to be seen. "Ah, the 4 rebel angels. We have awoken from the forced slumber," Jupiter said. "It is good to see all of you awaken well, Your Supreme Majesty," Wyatt said and tipped his hat. Jupiter continued to speak. "Yes, we have reviewed the past events from the Fates Mirror. The mutiny will not go unpunished, as it shall be for the cult. We will influence the London police to arrest the cult for their mundane crimes. You have gained our admiration and respect for restoring order." Hades then began to float from his throne and slowly descend to the floor in front of us. "It does not excuse the fact that rules were broken by these 4. Hades shouted, then pointed at me. "She is the worst out of them all!" "Now wait just a minute!" Peter exclaimed in defense and stood in front of me. "She is a part of us. If you want to punish, then punish us all," Wyatt said firmly. Victor hugged me in a protective manner. These gestures stunned my senses. They wanted to protect me? I felt my confidence increased by their love and camaraderie. "She has left me no alternative but to point out what she has done," Hades said. "Not behaving like a submissive woman, conspiring against another angel, having a monster serve her, and stealing the sacred fire. All of these actions are—" He paused his sentence and changed his tone from angry to pleased. "Worthy of knighthood." Our jaws dropped in complete shock by his last sentence. "You have to be joking," I exclaimed. "This is not a joke, Maid Saturday. You have proven your resourcefulness, courage, and loyalty. By using your wits and taking control of the situation, you and your army defeated the biggest threat to us all." He pointed to the floor, drawing his sword, and said, "Kneel before me." I obeyed him while looking to the floor, feeling the blade touching each shoulder, as he said, "I dub thee Dame Saturday, first female knight of my dark kingdom. Stand and be recognized." I had done so, having both angels and gods applaud while cheering. It was one of the most happiest days of my afterlife, which moved me to joyous tears. I hugged Hades first, and expressed my gratitude. It stunned and yet patted my back when I hugged Victor, Wyatt, and Peter in one setting. "Squire Peter, for your penance of your past sins, we have given you access to rebirth," Hades said. "No! I do not want to leave. I want to be knighted too and be with Hope," he protested. "Your unfinished business has been completed, and it must be done," Hades ordered. "Could I at least say goodbye to her before I am to go?" he asked solemnly. "Yes, you may, and have 2 minutes to spend," Hades said firmly. Peter turned to me with tears in his eyes and pulled me into a tight hug. I hugged him close, laying the side of my head on his chest, and the tears rolled down my cheeks. He rested his chin on my scalp, cradling my head while running his fingers through my hair. I will miss you so much, Peter, I whispered. I know. We shared so much together in a short amount of time. It was time well spent. You made me feel alive again. Most of all, you showed me what it is to be loved. For that, I will be ever grateful to you, he said softly. You did the same for me. You showed me that I was worth loving, a type of special I never thought could ever exist. You gave me support and security, like a princess in a fairy tale, I said. You are a knight now, not a princess. You saved me from myself too, he said and chuckled. He released me from the hug while I looked upward to his eyes. His hands cut my cheeks, as his thumbs wiped away tears, then leaned down to kiss me upon the lips tenderly as I returned it. Goodbye, my fair maiden armor. I will always love you, he said. The moment was cut short abruptly as his form began to shrink into a brilliant ball of white light and flew out of the room and out the hall. I could only stand there, frozen in my melancholy. The gods had done their business of causing the wreckage of the buildings to be restored, the bodily mess to fade to nothing, and altering the memories of the mortals in the living world. As far as the citizens were concerned, the zombie invasion and grudge match between giant monsters had not occurred, and only leaving a crazy cult to contend with. I had learned so many lessons from these events, learning to accept and give love, understanding my own self-worth, and through pain and suffering comes enlightenment. That good things can emerge after the passing of unfortunate events. It all takes a keen eye to decipher life's puzzles being tossed our way. The entire residents of Slenderman's mansion began to weep and applaud loudly. Their cheers were nearly deafening. That was epic! Toby shouted. I loved every moment of it! Ben exclaimed. You go, girl! Jane said and slapped a high five. It was so sad, Sally murmured between sniffles, wiping away tears. So, you're not a cold-hearted bitch after all, Masky remarked while beginning to move again. Only when crossed, mind you, I said firmly. So, you're a knight. I guess I'll have to keep an eye out for you, Jeff muttered and turned to face away from the group. Aw, those tears I see, Jane taunted and poked at his cheek. No, he grumbled. Oh, come on, she insisted. I said no! Jeff shouted. Let him be salty, Jane. We heard a great story. Best Halloween ever! Ben said while laughing. Yeah, you're right, she said. Will you be staying the night with us, Engel? Slenderman asked. No, I must return to the underworld, though I would have loved to have what all of you call a slumber party, I said, patting Sally's head. Oh, that's too bad, Jane complained. I know, but duty calls. I bid all of you a glorious Hallows Eve. Keep scaring people. It has been a great pleasure to share this tale, I said with a smile and tipped my hat to them while bowing my head. Bye, Sadie. Come back any time, they called in unison. I exited the mansion and was stopped by a slender man who said, May I see you for a moment? I turned around facing him as we stood outside the front door. Yes? I asked. You taught me a lesson as well, Fräulein Engel, he said softly. Oh, what lesson have you learned? I inquired curiously. That I should learn to accept help and not see the world in black and white. Instead, it is all in one chaotic spectrum, he said with a smile in his tone. I see, then. I am happy to enlighten you, Mr. Faceless, I said, smiling in return. May we meet again under better circumstances. Your presence is always welcome, he said. Let's not be strangers any more, I said softly. With that, I had opened a portal by the swing of my scythe and returned to the underworld, being happy for the first time in over a century.